You think your favorite guitar player is fast and clean? Well, it's time to put them under the microscope and find out how good they actually are in one of the most brutal and honest ranking imaginable. A ranking so brutal that it even destroyed one of my favorite guitar players. And it breaks my heart, but I'm so sorry guys, it doesn't feel right at all. And because this is a guitar channel where I teach shredding from a scientific and biomechanical perspective, I will not only rank some of your favorite players, I will also give you a valuable lesson inspired by every guitarist on this list. And later we will take a closer look at one of the most requested and mysterious players I have ever come across. Guitar champion, I'm 𝗚𝙗𝙗𝗚𝙗𝙗, and here we go. I will rank each player according to 3 categories: speed, precision, complexity. Each category is worth up to 10 points, which means a player can achieve a maximum score of 30 points. Depending on their total score, they will be placed into a specific tier. When it comes to speed, I will judge them based on the average playing speed, not on a single moment where someone plays 460 notes at 300 BPM. And for comparison purposes, I will primarily look at the pure alternate picking. No sweeping, no economy picking or anything else. I will also not rank anyone based on creativity, influence, impact or musicality, because those things are incredibly subjective. In my last video I determined who the fastest guitar player actually is. Sorry Yngwie, it's not you my dear. And you guys were on fire. I asked you to suggest more players for me to analyze and you left hundreds of comments. And one of the most requested guitarists was 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝗚? Huh? Alright, let's start low and immediately made myself unpopular in the common guitar scene. 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝗚. When it comes to speed, there are moments in 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗's playing from the 80s that are genuinely fast. At times he reaches up to 14 notes per second. However, those are only short bursts. Overall, I would say his main playing speed is closer to 10 notes per second. Compared to other guitarists on this list, I give him 3 out of 10 when it comes to speed. Precision is where he really struggles. He constantly touches unwanted strings, his hands are not properly synchronized, and some of the notes almost sound randomly placed. He was not particularly precise in the 80s and he is even less accurate nowadays. We all know his classic mistakes and fails.
Is that right?
0 out of 10. Complexity? For beginners maybe, but I would say the main Metallica solos are playable after only 1 or 2 years of learning the guitar. 2 out of 10. That gives 𝗏 a total score of 5 out of 30. So unfortunately we have to put 𝗏 into E tier. I know, I'm sorry every Metallica and 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗 fan out there, but let's face it, his technical abilities is underneath everyone else in this list, even though is still a really inspiring guitar player, Metallica really inspiring band for all of us, but nah, he's playing, more kind of E tier. Now, but is there even a valuable lesson in the playing of 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗? Yes. The way he conducted his solos was actually not that bad. On the first 4 Metallica albums there are several solos with great energy, build up and flow. But as I discussed in one of my older videos, he seems to have lost a lot of that ability over the last 30 years. And many assumed in that video that without Cliff Burton, 𝗏 had never reached that kind of level in the first place. But when it comes to solo build-up, I highly recommend to check out 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗's solo from the first 4 Metallica records. Okay, next 𝗏𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗. In terms of speed, Kevin demonstrated in his Master of Puppets at 300 BPM video that he can easily play up to 20 notes per second for a short period of time. On average, I think it's safe to say that he can comfortably reach around 60 or 70 notes per second. 10 out of 10 when it comes to speed. Precision is another area where Kevin really shines, especially when he's riffing. He occasionally catches more than one string, but all is a sacrifice for that immense pick attack. Compared to Anton Oparin from the previous video, I know that an even higher level of accuracy is technically possible, but compared to the rest of us normal human beings, 9 out of 10. Complexity, 10 out of 10. The riffs he currently writes are extremely demanding for both the fretting and the picking hand. This gives Kevin a total score of 29 out of 30, and that puts him straight into S tier. Kevin perfectly demonstrates the level of speed and precision that you can achieve by using techniques such as pick slanting. And yes, I know that simply saying this will probably trigger him into making another video to prove that he does not use pick slanting. Hopefully, because every video he has made about his picking hand has been an incredible value to the guitar scene. When Kevin is riffing, his picking hand often floats above the bridge. That is not something I would necessarily recommend to everybody. When wrist deviation is your primary picking movement, as it should be, resting part of your hand or wrist against the bridge can provide a stable reference point. Without that point of contact, additional muscles may be required to stabilize the arm. And as we all know after reading my free ebook, The Biomechanics of Speedpicking, the more unnecessary muscle you activate, the less efficient your technique becomes. Alright, let's stay in Germany with my good friend and shred legend 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Chris' most controlled average speed is around 30 notes per second. That gives him, when it comes to speed, 6 out of 10. Precision is a difficult subject in Chris' case because he developed focal dystonia, a neurological movement disorder that can severely disrupt fine motor control. Before developing focal dystonia, his precision was spot on, especially his fretting hand. His picking hand used to be more of a weak point, but he has improved it tremendously over the last few years. For this ranking, I will judge Chris based on his playing before the focal dystonia fully developed. So for precision, he gets a 7 out of 10. Complexity. Interestingly, his condition has forced him to develop even more unusual and complicated fingerings. But even beyond that, his sequences of phrases have always been extremely demanding. And I can tell you, trust me, I can tell you that from experience, because a significant part of my career basically consists out of playing Chris material live. His playing is easily an 8 out of 10. That gives Christian a total score of 21 out of 30, which puts Christian into A tier. One of Chris' most famous approaches is the superimposition of arpeggios. For example, you can play in B minor 9 arpeggio over an E minor chord to create a more colorful E minor 6/7 sound. Oh shit, I will go to hell for this. But check the link that I've provided for you in the bonus material to get a good example for this. One of the most old school players you requested was Dimebag Darrell. And this is where the ranking breaks my heart, because I absolutely love Dimebag's style. But when we analyze his technical abilities, and being really honest here, the things doesn't look so good anymore for him. His average speed is around 12 notes per second. That gives him in this ranking a 5 out of 10. Precision, hard to rank. Even when he was not in his best condition or was playing widely on stage, his accuracy was actually surprisingly good, but considering that some of his lines do not require the highest possible level of precision, I will give him only a 4 out of 10. Complexity, as I already mentioned, many of the lines themselves are relatively easy. He often used one fingering shape across several strings, mostly played pentatonic stuff, maybe the blues scale, so not really complex. Here he only gets a 1 out of 10. That gives Dimebag the total score of 10 out of 30. I can't believe I have to put this to one of my heroes, but I'm so sorry guys, I'm so fucking sorry. I have to put him on D tier. Oh fuck, that is such a big mistake. It doesn't feel right at all. Ugh. However, when used correctly, these one-shape scale patterns can be incredibly effective. Chris Poland is another great example. You can use symmetrical fingerings to create an interesting outside sound before resolving smoothly back into the key. Check out this video I made about how Dimebag uses this type of scales, or check the link in the bonus material. Yngwie, speed 10 out of 10, precision 10 out of 10. Complexity, well, it's 2nd out of 10, but anyways, S tier because everybody loves Yngwie. And if you want to play like Yngwie, or perhaps more realistic like your favorite shred hero in general, you should check out the ZEN of Speedpicking. The ZEN of Speedpicking is my big online masterclass about shredding and speedpicking in general, and with more than 50 licks, 10 etudes, 4 workouts and a bulletproof practice plan, I guarantee to you we can bring your playing up to the next level. Check the link in the description box for more information, and don't miss the chance to get the ZEN of Sweeping 50% off when buying the ZEN of Speedpicking. Hey guys, so my initial plan for the next player was to put him here on the list, but he recently lost a member of his family, and out of respect I didn't want to put him here on the list before people will write him like, hey dude, have you seen what this Justin guy was talking about you, because there's some things to say about, and he is aware of that, and he will be part of this channel here at a certain point in the future, definitely, because we already talked about making a video together. So out of respect I will not put him here on the list, but I want to include instead of him now Really quickly, 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙚. And 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙢 is easy to rank because speed, 10 out of 10, who we are talking about, precision, 9 out of 10, and complexity, 8 out of 10. Most of his lines are basic 3-note per string patterns. Some of the stretches that he has, some of these arpeggio 3-note per string stretches, they can be difficult, but this gives you a total from 27 out of 30, and this definitely will put him into S tier. Jason Becker. Jason Becker is another player where the ranking absolutely breaks my heart. His music is incredibly important to me, but if we are being brutally honest here, okay, let's analyze Jason. His average speed was 30 notes per second. That gives him 6 out of 10. Precision, I'm really sorry here. I'm a huge Jason Becker fan, but he could be extremely sloppy at times, so only a 5 out of 10. Complexity, this is where things get interesting. Jason has section where he's playing some of the most common and overused shred lines, but then 4 bars later, he combines scales and arpeggios in a way nobody had ever done before. So for complexity, he gets a 6 out of 10. That gives Jason a total score of 70 out of 30. Jason, my heart is bleeding, but why do I have to do this again? He should be S tier when it comes to musicality, creativity, and the inspiration on the guitar playing scene, but technically wise, he's only into B tier. Why do I have to do this? God damn it. Jason was a master in combining different arpeggio inversions in highly creative ways. You can see an example of this in the lick that I have prepared for you in the bonus section. Sinister Gates. Sinister Gates is another guitarist who's not particularly easy for me to judge because I'm not deeply familiar with all of his work. From what I've seen over the few days, his average speed is around 12 notes per second. That gives him 5 out of 10. His precision, okay, let me put it in this way. I know many of his solos by covers from good buddies of mine like Bradley Hall or Simon Eichinger. But when I listened to Sinister himself perform some of these solos, the execution was significantly less precise than in those covers. And that says a lot when the cover versions are cleaner than the original guitarist's live performance. So for precision, he gets a 6 out of 10. Complexity. He has some genuinely interesting runs in his solos. Again, the execution is not always perfect, but especially in the solo from Nobody, there are several unusual and technical demanding licks. That gives him 7 out of 10. And his total score in this ranking is 18 out of 30. Which puts Sinister Gates into B tier. One thing I really like about Sinister solos though is the use of motifs. Motivic development is a frequently overlooked, maybe even forgotten technique that can make your solo significantly more interesting and memorable. Rafael Trujillo, easy. Speed, 9 out of 10. Precision, 10 out of 10. Complexity, 10 out of 10. You don't trust me? Well, listen to his work from 𝙭𝙭 and a specific band that I'm not allowed to say the name here, otherwise somebody's trying to sue me again. But highly recommend to check out Rafael Trujillo. That gives him a total out of 29 out of 30. And that's an easy one. Rafael comes into S tier. Rafael is a master of something that I call progressive picking. That means incorporating subdivisions such as quintuplets, unusual rhythmic groupings, or polyrhythmic ideas into high-speed picking lines. I created an entire chapter about this topic in the ZEN of Speedpicking in case you are interested in learning more. So I could go on forever because there are still so many guitar players left that are so amazing. But analyzing guitar players in this kind of way is really a lot of fun, even though I think by now probably most of you guys will hate me. But anyways, if you want to have more videos like that, let me know in the comments. And especially if you have more guitar players that I should check out in this kind of way and method, let me know in the comments. And now let's take a closer look to one of the most dangerous and mysterious guitar player that I've ever seen, Roy Mark Bank. Here we go. I absolutely love how many people have requested Roy. It makes me genuinely happy to see an underground guitarist from a niche within a niche receiving more and more attention. Nerds, we are getting stronger and stronger. However, I had to exclude him from the previous ranking for several reasons, and those same reasons make judging him surprisingly complicated. But okay, let's give it a shot. Speed. This category is relatively easy. Personally, I do not think that Roy's picking hand itself is exceptionally fast. His fretting hand, however, absolutely is. He consistently plays clean lines at around 16, 17 or even 80 notes per second. Because much of his speed is generated through legato and fretting hand articulation, he is something of an exception to the alternate picking rule I established at the beginning. but judging his overall speed, 10 out of 10. Complexity. This category is slightly paradoxical. His playing is complex and simple at the same time, but as I explained in my previous video, 4-note per string runs can be easier to execute at high speed because each finger has several notes of recovery time before it needs to move again. After the index finger moves, the middle finger moves, the ring finger moves, and then the pinky moves. However, the actual 4-note per string shapes Roy uses can be extremely difficult. And then, out of nowhere, he explodes into one of those incredible Sean Lane style phrases. So for complexity, I will give him a 9 out of 10. Precision, and this is a difficult category too. His fretting hand is incredibly precise. His picking hand is where I have some concerns. The technique clearly works for his personal style. However, if the goal were to become a versatile all-round guitarist, someone capable of playing the riffs and phrases used by many of the other musicians on this list, I assume that Roy's approach could create certain limitations. You can see that his thumb is bent quite significantly, his wrist is not in the optimal position, and first all of this causes him to strike the strings with the side of the pick. That produces considerably less attack and makes the notes sound much quieter. This is one of the reasons why I personally try to keep my pick as flat against the string as possible, even though staying relaxed with this approach requires additional practice. Second, the wrist and thumb position places many of the muscles in the forearm under constant tension. That can potentially reduce precision and endurance while also restricting the available range of motion in both the wrist and the forearm. His picking hand position also gives him very few options for muting unwanted strings. Again, the technique works for his specific style. For a more conventional or versatile approach, it could create additional difficulties. For his fretting hand, I would easily give Roy 10 out of 10. No discussion here. For his picking hand, however, I would give him only 5 out of 10. So let's meet in the middle. That would technically be 7.5, but we will round it up to 8 out of 10. That gives Roy Markbank, one of the most requested player from my latest video, a 72 out of 30. And you know, despite my concerns about his picking hand techniques, that is still more than enough to put him easily into S tier.
Don't worry, I took care of him for that. His channel sucks anyway, you should subscribe to mine. Go sub to 6 String TV, and I'll see ya.
So as I've mentioned, that was a lot of fun to do. If you like that as well and you haven't seen my previous video, I highly recommend to do it right now. And of course, as always, I wish you a lot of fun learning, practicing and mastering the guitar. Subscribe for more education. Cheers and power your progress. Bye.